Bitcoin has managed to recover back above that critical $60,000 price level, and it begs the question, are we going to be recovering and aiming for that $70,000 price area? Are we back? That is the question. Or is this thing going to be dipping down? And you guys already know my take on these kind of things. When we're at resistance, and that's where price drops happen. And when we're at support, that's when you expect support to be found. But we're going to be diving deep into this one over here in this video. This is such a critical video today because we have managed to jump right through that $60,000 price area. And our high, if you take a look at the OHLC up here, is 61,400, which is phenomenal. However, it does not mean that we've actually cleared the resistance. Okay, if we take a look at this beautiful, super reliable chart that we've been looking at, this represents the resistance zone for Bitcoin that I've been seeing, and yeah, we kind of got above it, but definitely not clearly. And this is definitely, I think, where the risk of a reversal is at its highest. We can actually kind of dive into that a little bit by taking a look at the Fear and Greed Index, which yesterday was at 33. This is going to update very shortly. We've been in extreme fear for a long time. We're probably going to see this pick up a little bit now. However, we are at the most important resistance level on this chart right now, and I think it's very important for us to understand that where previously Bitcoin was able to kind of recover back above this resistance level pretty quickly on this occasion here, on these wicks here, and relatively quickly on this breakdown over here as well. I mean, if we go ahead and take a look at it from entry to exit of this range, it was about 2 days and 20 hours. However, you know, when we really start looking at it from this particular perspective here, we're not even fully back up yet, and it has been 11 days, which I think just tells us everything we need to know about the strength or lack thereof in this market. But the good news is that this does put us at a pivotal trading point, and I cannot continue this without telling you guys about Blowfin, because if you're looking to take advantage of this volatility, these guys are offering you a phenomenal no KYC platform where you can win some amazing prizes. They had a huge campaign running where just based off your trading volume, you're going to be getting prizes ranging from an Apple Watch down to a Tesla, up to a Tesla. And what's amazing about all of this is you don't have to do anything special. Just sign up and start trading using my link, and your trading volume will contribute to these prizes. And they've actually extended it because it was so popular with you guys. So if you like the sound of that stuff, definitely check it out, because this is, you know, a potential zone that I'd be interested in trading. Obviously, I don't get the free money you guys get, but if I did, I'd definitely be considering throwing it at a trade setup like this as well, because of the beautiful risk to reward that we start seeing with these kind of ranges. I do obviously have to continue this by saying that I'm not your financial advisor, I don't trade anything I'm saying, and be mindful of your country's local regulations, of course, as usual. But really nice kind of risk to reward. I think bears are definitely going to be interested in trading shorts up here, you know, and very easy to control that risk, right? I mean, the beautiful thing about this particular trade setup now is, and I don't think it's worth taking because we're too close to that high right now, but because we are close to that high, it becomes very easy to kind of be like, all right, look, I'm going to enter here and I'll just place my stop loss a little bit above that previous candle, and if we break it, then I don't want to be in this trade anymore. You know, it would probably look like Bitcoin is going up to, like, I don't know, up here, right, like towards $64,000. So that's something that I would be kind of keeping an eye out for on this particular chart right here. But if we do take a look at the kind of upside that we're dealing with here, there is 14% upside and only 1.3% risk, and this 14% comes down to our $52,000 price target, which is exactly where I think Bitcoin is going to be going if we manage to lose this level. And let's start talking about those invalidations before we continue on with that particular trade setup. If you are excited for that, do me a favor and smash those likes up, double check that you are subscribed. Many of you guys watch these videos regularly, but you're not subscribed, which means that when it counts, YouTube ain't going to show it to you, and you're going to miss out on this time-sensitive content. So make sure you get that bell icon checked as well. But you know, I think there's a couple key invalidations that I'm going to be looking for Bitcoin now. I think the first one is a zone that, you know, perhaps a lot of people aren't necessarily looking at, but Bitcoin did manage to build a bit of resistance on the way down, or on the way back up, I guess, over here. And that resistance for me is going to sit kind of in that $58,000 price range. So I'm definitely going to be happy to expect a bit of support down here if we manage to find a rejection. However, if we lose this level, support is very thin, and this is very much just kind of like an intraday level anyway. It's really not something that I think is too important, especially on the longer term time frames. And so if the rejection does end up coming in here, you know, I'm not going to be super optimistic that this level is going to hold. And if it doesn't hold, then I definitely think we're going all the way down. I think that, you know, this next low is going to be the one to sweep, but I really cannot see Bitcoin coming back up from any of these levels, and I'm gonna have to expect that it bottoms out at $52,000 or much lower on this chart here. And again, this comes back to something I've said to you guys already, where kind of the longer that it takes Bitcoin to recover, the worse that picture looks. And you know, again, it's evidenced by what I've shown you before, right? I mean, when the market is strong, it bounces up really quickly, right? Even over here, it was 2 days, 20 hours, but still much quicker than what we're looking at right now. Again, you know, classic examples. When the market is going to recover, you know, it's going to recover quickly, okay? But when the market doesn't recover quickly, that's actually a really strong sign telling you that actually, yeah, things might not be working out the way you want it to. And we start seeing that with various different time frames. I mean, here's the daily EMA ribbon, which is so useful, and we're just trading in heavy resistance right now. If we take a look at the daily Ichimoku cloud, granted, it's not anywhere near where we are right now, but it's at exactly the same price level, right? So if we were to kind of get here even slower, you can see my point continuing to be demonstrated, that kind of as you take your time getting up to these resistance levels, you're much more likely to fail them. However, the good news is that on the 4-hour time frame, we've broken the EMA resistance and the Ichimoku cloud just now, which is fantastic. It is a very good place for Bitcoin to be. So I think the best case scenario for bulls right now is, I mean, yeah, obviously either to move up or to just kind of trade sideways. You could move down and capture support here. There's a lot of good moves for the bulls right now, but I think the best one is kind of just moving sideways right now. You know, and a bit of sideways is going to show us that actually we're pretty comfortable here. We're not really selling off, and we're going to be ready to move upward to that next zone of resistance. Now, this is going to be the real money shot, so to speak, over here, because if Bitcoin can get up to this $64,000 price area, we do have very good support back beneath us, where we're kind of back in the game, really. So I think that's absolutely great. You know, however, I do want to come back to that trade setup that I was outlining just a couple of minutes ago, because I do still have to continue to remind you guys, at least from my perspective, that, you know, regardless of how much I personally want Bitcoin to go up, and I want it to go up by quite a bit, you know, resistance is resistance, and there is such a phenomenal risk to reward on this trade setup here, where, like, if I were to take it, I mean, even with, you know, 5x leverage, even just with 5x leverage, I mean, you know, it's such easy money. I'm risking, what is this, like 6-7%? I'm risking like nothing. I'm risking like 7% profit, I'm sorry, 7% loss, you know, for huge upside here. I mean, I'm horrible at math. Let's see if Siri can help. 14 times 5, let's see what that is. It's 70% upside here, which is absolutely fantastic just with 5x leverage. Obviously with 10x, you're looking at 150% profit and 12% loss, right? So easy trade here from a pure risk to reward setup. Does it mean that Bitcoin can't keep on going up? Absolutely not. I mean, you know, Bitcoin's kind of pulled strength out of nowhere, which is definitely interesting, but it coincides with what we're expecting, right? I mean, if we look at the S&P 500, for example, we have had, you know, a somewhat lackluster performance here. I mean, it has been, you know, a weekend trading, I mean, no trading on the weekend, but the last week was, it was all right. It was just a bit of consolidation, but S&P is definitely still very strong. It's far above its all-time highs that it set back in 2021. Bitcoin is not. So, you know, in that sense, Bitcoin is lagging behind a little bit. The dollar still in a pretty weak place, right? So is it just the case that Bitcoin's kind of catching up to what it needs to be doing, or is it Bitcoin, you know, kind of up on the weekends and down on the weekdays, which is something that we were doing for a long time. I mean, this is something I've demonstrated to you a couple of times on this chart, and I just want to do it again as a reminder. By the way, here, speaking of reminders, here is a phenomenal chart that we were looking at on this channel, and we have got a pardon me, we have got a phenomenal follow through coming off this particular price level here at $53,000, where Bitcoin bounced off with a really nice descending channel, which is such a bullish pattern. You know, if this ends up taking us back up to the high of this channel, which would be about $67,000 now, which is brilliant macro resistance, by the way, absolutely brilliant. If it does take Bitcoin up there, let's say we kind of tumble back down to the midline, that's going to be a chance to break up. And I really like this chart. Still, nobody is paying attention to it. So, you know, to me, that just makes it even less surprising that this is such a valid chart right now and that a lot of people are paying attention to it. So that's going to be something I will continue to keep an eye out for in this market here. But again, speaking of reminders, the reminder I wanted to give you before is to do with Bitcoin's very peculiar daily time frame performance. Okay, if we take a look at all this on a daily time frame, you know, one of the things I was doing for you guys, thanks to Don Alt on Twitter, who is by far one of the best figures on Twitter. Shout out to him. Tell him that you found me in his comments. I'm sorry that you found him in his comments from me if you like his content. But yeah, we've got phenomenal support. I'm sorry, phenomenal patterns here, basically, where Bitcoin has shown a very interesting history of moving up on weekends and down on weekdays. Okay, so here's the last weekends basically since this little downtrend began, and you can see very clearly that the weekdays consist of moving down consistently here, very consistently, whereas the weekends, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but you get it, the weekends have been typically pretty bullish trading sessions for Bitcoin, especially this one here. So does this indicate some more down? Well, I'm not the kind of guy that likes to say this time is different. I mean, this is a pretty clear trend. It's been going on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekends. I mean, there are a couple of exceptions. Sometimes it didn't quite work out, but broadly speaking, it's been the case. We're at macro resistance. It's taken Bitcoin a long time to get here. There's the daily EMA resistance. I mean, look, there's a lot here. Really, there's a lot to show us that we should be worried about Bitcoin right now, especially from a very realistic perspective. And I think that a lot of the answer is going to come from this Fear and Greed Index update as well. I mean, if we see this shoot up to anything above 50, it's way too fucking high. This market is going to have to get humbled again. That's just my take there. But if we are able to kind of see a lower rating, then maybe we're in the clear. I still think that this is and again, we could just, one of my favorite things to do obviously is just switch this on to one of these inverse charts and just take a quick look at this. This is something we look at on live streams quite a bit, and if we just try and remove bias a little bit, flipping Bitcoin's chart upside down, I mean, this is like, would you go long here? That's the question, and it's a very obvious answer, right? I mean, everybody would be going long here. So that in itself makes it interesting that we haven't been rejected yet. That's important, and that's why I think that there could be a bit more upside for Bitcoin. And we've also got to keep in mind that Bitcoin fakes out all the time. Bitcoin forms fake outs all the time. So that first trade isn't necessarily the safest anyway. So there are a couple key considerations to be taking here. However, still a very interesting chart, a very promising chart, and above all, most importantly, a tradable chart starting to open up here, not only with Bitcoin, but with our altcoins as well. We've got very similar chart patterns. I'm sorry, very similar kind of opportunities that could be beginning to open up here. Take a look at Matic with pretty much the exact same setup here, with a really nice bounce from its low to its current price, up by 25%, which is a hell of a lot more than Bitcoin's bounce. So again, I think bears and people looking to short are going to start, kind of getting excited, scheming for their next opportunities. And, that's totally okay, because one thing that a lot of people forget is that we're not here to, parade Bitcoin like a bunch of fucking retarded seals clapping for it only moving up. We are here to trade Bitcoin, okay? We are here to trade it up and down, many of us, at least watching this YouTube channel. And so we don't have a reason to be worried. I mean, overall, we know that Bitcoin's probably going to be keeping, continuing to go up, and I certainly think that's the case. I think it's going to go way higher than its all-time high. But in the interim, hey, if it's dropping down, fuck it, I'm happy. That's more opportunities for me to make money. So how can I complain about that? That is a big W as far as I am concerned right here. A big W. Very happy with that indeed. So I am pretty much on board with that. And of course, like I said earlier on in the video, you've got a phenomenal exchange to be taking advantage of this volatility with. There are so many out there. You can Google them, but Blowfin to me looks super cool. And again, with the flexibility of not being invasive, asking for your pictures and your passport and all that, that's absolutely great, and way better with the campaigns that they're running. Some super cool tech that you get just for doing the same trades that you're already doing. That is amazing, and thousands of dollars up for grabs as well. I know you can't see it, but kind of below my face, you will see that there is up to $5,000 in rewards that you can be grabbing when you start trading using my link below. So super cool stuff. Check it all out. Bybit, a phenomenal exchange as well, the best in the game actually, and they are offering up to $30,000 to trade when you start using my link below. So that is super cool as well. And of course, as usual, be mindful of your country's regulations. If we do move it back over to Bitcoin here, I want to take a slightly kind of closer look at what's going on here exactly. With our hourly candle, we are seeing a bit of a rejection here, but this is nothing to be worried about at all as far as I'm concerned. I think, yeah, if we are able to kind of swing back above this wick over here at 61,500, that is where we are back in the game, and that is going to be a very, very strong sign for the bulls that you know, things could be flying higher. And you won't even necessarily see a lot of buying. It's just that you'd probably see a little bit of buying and absolutely no selling, you know, and I think that would kind of very quickly take us up to that $64,000 price area. And that's exactly how it happened last time. I mean, when we got above this level with confidence, especially when we kind of started to get above some of these wicks up here at 62, you know, it was just a series of very large candles, at least comparative to what we had before. You know, this was a very, very nice candle compared to the average, you know, like 0.2% candles that we were getting before. We had an entire 1.6% in one candle there, right, in 1 hour. So really, really big moves, and I think super doable for Bitcoin at these stages here. So this is going to be something that I am going to continue to pay attention to. I really like this chart that I was showing you a little bit earlier on in the video that we've been kind of continuing to track on this YouTube channel. I think it tells us so much about what Bitcoin could be interested in doing and when and how. I think it's so valid right now in this market. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that. And I guess one of the other great things that this means is that we do now have this midpoint, which has historically been a pretty nice zone for bounces and rejections, right? So, you know, now that we are kind of back above this level, totally reasonable to start expecting some support coming off it as well, I think, which is absolutely great. Another important thing, which I haven't actually had a chance to show you guys, is that there is a good amount of evidence to suggest that institutional buying really picked up when Bitcoin was sub $60,000, which, if you've been watching me for, I don't know, like a couple of months now, you know, a few months now, you're going to know that, honestly, quite consistently for a while, I've been saying that you know, it never happens in history that, you know, the kind of rich people, the establishment, make the poor guy rich, okay? It's actually very typical that, you know, in an asset class like this, the poor guy is going to panic and sell their Bitcoin, and then the smart people will pick it up, and the smart people are typically the ones with money. That's how they got the money, right? So a lot of the time that's how they get the money, despite what everyone wants to believe. So I think that's an important, you know, kind of take. I think that's very, very important. There is a discussion to be had about Bitcoin and Trump. Obviously, if you were living under a rock, there was an attempted assassination on Trump. I totally believe it was legitimate, because that's just too fucking risky for an inside job where they're doing it as a PR stunt. So, you know, I think, you know, they were really planning for him to be killed, and the world would be very, very different if he was killed, whether you like him or not. It would be, you know, very, very different world today. And, you know, how that's affected the markets, I mean, you know, I don't know, but it looks like, you know, it coincided, and I can't point to anything else. You know, but I think the consensus is pretty clear now that unless, you know, kind of something really weird gets pulled out of the hat, this is going to be Trump's election, and Trump obviously far more pro crypto than Biden. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. Personally, I don't think it's worth much at all, but I'm telling you because a lot of other people are talking about it. I don't think, you know, the president matters at all for Bitcoin. I really don't think it matters. You know, I think most of the difference is not going to be made by who's in the White House. It's going to be made much more by the public. That is, after all, the whole point of Bitcoin. So there you go, ladies and gents. I hope you have enjoyed this one. You know what to do. If you have, do me a favor and smash those likes up. If you have enjoyed this video, again, double check that you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. And if you have enjoyed it, all that good stuff, if you want to show this channel a little bit of love, check out the beautiful bonuses available to you with the links below, and I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.